During a press conference today featuring Democratic members of Congress, Representative John Lewis had some strong statements in regard to gun control and those who refuse to even talk about it. Take a look.
There's no amount of blood, or pain, or death, or suffering what would move this Congress to act. We hold moments of silence and vigil. We offer our thoughts and prayers. But it's all a show, a placeholder, until people forget. And this Congress can move on to rolling back restrictions on silence or making it easier for the mentally ill to purchase weapons. Don't tell me otherwise. I've been around too long. This Congress does nothing. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. We need mental health reform when you won't provide every American access to mental health care. Don't tell me this is about protecting the Second Amendment when you won't stand up for the First Amendment. Don't tell me this is about anything other than greed, money, and fear. I said to each one of us, to all of the members of the Congress, have courage, be unafraid, do your job, bring common sense gun control legislation to a vote. We need it, and we need it now.
I love the fiery speech from Representative John Lewis. He is honestly the strongest member of Congress with his speaking style and just how aggressive he is in demanding some change following this mass shooting. Also, Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democrat of California, suggested targeting kits that could legally transform semi-automatic weapons to automatic ones, which is similar to what was used by this Las Vegas gunman. They're referred to as bump stocks, legal modifications to semi-automatic rifles to help them fire more like automatic weapons. I mean, I feel like this is as common sense as you possibly can get when it comes to gun legislation. You can purchase that product online for $45. And obviously it allowed Paddock to cause much more damage than he should have been able to carry out. And even though that's common sense, there's a lot of resistance from Republican members of Congress. And we're gonna get a couple of their statements in just a second.
Yeah, I mean, people love to cherry pick. I mean, you're talking about the type of weaponry. We love to forget the fact that when the Second Amendment was written, it was back when it took like maybe 20 minutes to like load your gun, and when you hit somebody with it, they said "ow" and had a bruise. We've advanced a lot from there, and these types of weapons, these magazines, these semi-automatic, they're not necessary to protect your home from a potential burglar. They're certainly not necessary to hunt deer. So there's no reason why citizens should just be able to get them. I mean,
well, some guys, they get their rocks off by having these fancy weapons. They go shooting with it. It makes them feel good about themselves. And so, I guess our country has decided that that's more valuable than innocent lives being taken from these crazy mass shooters. And by the way, the argument that you always hear from Republican lawmakers specifically after a mass shooting like this is, well, the problem isn't the fact that these people can buy these crazy weapons. The problem is, mental health care. We got to provide mental health. Really? You want to provide mental health care? We just finished months and months of Senate Republicans trying to take whatever little coverage that we have under the Affordable Care Act, which would even further minimize mental health care for Americans. Really? You care about mental health care? Hell no, you don't. The only time they care about it is when they can use it as a scapegoat so we don't talk about common sense gun legislation. That is the only time they care about it. And by the way, House Republicans passed a 20-week abortion ban because they say that they believe in the sanctity of life. You believe in the sanctity of life? How many people just got murdered because of your inaction and your protection of the NRA and other lobbying groups and weapons manufacturers that just seek to profit? And they profit off this type of carnage. It's disgusting. All right, so let's hear from these disgusting, politicians. Senator John Thune, the number 3 Republican in the Senate, told an NBC News reporter that lawmakers ought to take a look at conversion kits that can make guns more lethal, but also suggested little could be achieved through legislation. Oh, little could be achieved through legislation. Then get the fuck out. What are you doing? What are you doing if little can be achieved through legislation? Then you are a waste of time. You are a waste of human body within the Senate. You're worthless. Leave. I think people are going to have to take steps in their own lives to take precautions to protect themselves. And in situations like that, try to stay safe. As somebody said, get small. So how are you going to stay safe when someone has, essentially an automatic weapon because of the device that he used and is shooting at a crowd from the 32nd floor of Mandalay Bay? How are you going to stay safe? Should we all stay in our homes and never leave so we stay safe? Because legislation won't achieve anything. All right, let's hear from Mitch McConnell. Look, the investigation's not even been completed, and I think it's premature to be discussing legislative solutions if there are any. In other words, don't discuss it and don't expect us to ever discuss it.
Yeah, there's never a good time to talk about solutions to problems, apparently, when you're a Republican leader. Let us know when that time is, Mitch, and we'll meet you there at that time. There's never a good time to talk about. In fact, like I just said, Mitch McConnell's idea of gun legislation is making it easier for the mentally ill to get guns. It's making it easier for guys with psychotic minds to conceal what they're doing by using silencers.
What an embarrassment the American Congress is.
So these guys, when they go on and Mitch McConnell says things like that, oh, the legislation wouldn't help anyway, and it's like it's that. The Onion puts this out every time there's a mass shooting. They tweet out, "There's no way we could stop this," says the only country in the world where this stuff happens. I'm paraphrasing what their headline is, but that's every time there's a mass shooting, there's no way we could ever stop this. This is the only country this happens in. They decided to do something about it in Australia. Guess what? They don't have this happen in Australia. That's just a fact. Doesn't happen in the UK, doesn't happen in Canada, doesn't happen in Australia, it just happens in the United States. It's because we're a special kind of sick, I guess, or a special kind of crazy, or is it because our government is extra corrupted? I think it's that one.
And you know what? If Republicans believe that legislation is so useless, could they please apply that sentiment to a woman's body too? If legislation's so useless, just apply it to all that stuff too, and all social issues and everything else.
No,
be consistent.
They love to appease their evangelical voters. And their evangelical voters love the idea of being able to control women. That's what it's all about. And it's not just controlling women, it's punishing women, right? You're not allowed to have sex unless you want to procreate, okay? You're not allowed to do that as a woman. And I'm tired of them pandering to their religious base and passing these nonsensical violations of our reproductive rights while simultaneously making arguments that, hey, we gotta loosen gun restrictions because, hey, Second Amendment. Let's just deal with all these mass shootings on a daily basis. Finally, just a little factoid for you that I think is relevant to the conversation. The only gun legislation on the Republicans' agenda appears to be the so-called Hearing Protection Act, a gun rights measure that would eliminate a $200 tax on firearm silencers, refund silencer tax payments back to October of 2015, and also ease restriction requirements to these silencers. And by the way, let's just really quickly emphasize what they named this legislation, the Hearing Protection Act. Because all these people who shoot their guns have never been able to protect their ears in any other way. So we have to make sure they have access to silencers. How about some earmuffs? Okay, I believe a lot of people have been using those when they go hunting, when they go to gun ranges. We don't need to loosen restrictions for silencers. Anyway, I'm sorry, I don't like getting this rowdy and loud on the show, but
Well,
I don't blame you. I see acts like this that are out there, and I'm like, okay, we have failing infrastructure, education's in the toilet, healthcare is a disaster.
Right.
Let's talk about getting rid of the tax on silencers. Are you kidding me? That shouldn't be anywhere near the list of priorities.
Let me give you an example of a lawmaker who is putting her hands up, and it seems like she's giving up, and it's frustrating. Representative Linda Sanchez of California says, we're stuck. We have asked time and time again of our Republican counterparts to please engage in this discussion of how do we stop gun violence, and they are completely unwilling to do anything to help us out on that issue. Yeah, how about be a leader? Okay, Democrats, be leaders, because guess what? Republican lawmakers are not going to work with you. They never have any interest in working with you. They don't care about bipartisanship under any and all circumstances. So be a leader. If I were a Democratic member of Congress, I would fund a campaign that shows the bloody, gruesome reality of these mass shootings on a daily basis. Okay, there was a time in America where one of the most powerful corporations were those behind the tobacco industry, right? And it was, no one thought that we would, decrease the amount of people who were smoking cigarettes. But there was a very powerful and aggressive educational campaign out there that showed people the realities of what tobacco was doing to us. And those were fighters. Those were people who were aggressive in something that they believed in. And right now, unfortunately, I feel like we have very few Democrats in Congress who feel strongly enough to stand up, okay, and be leaders and not rely on Republicans playing patty cakes with them, because they are not interested in working with you. They are far too corrupt. They receive far too much money from weapons manufacturers and from the NRA. And if you're gonna sit there and expect them to one day maybe work with you, we're never gonna get anything done.
If you like this video, you probably like independent media. The best way to support independent media, become a member of the Young Turks. TYTnetwork.com/join.